I'm literally getting scared like thinking of it. It was so creepy. Okay, so hello and welcome to the beautiful great outdoors. I am just enjoying these last few weeks of summer, and I hope all of you are as well. It's funny, I'm literally sitting here in like a fall colored sweater. It's like what, like a rusty orangey brown?
Yep.
It's like a gingerbread cookie maybe.
Yep.
Maybe?
You got it.
But it is actually really beautiful out, sunny, warm, and I just couldn't help but want to sit out here and make this video. This was not the video I'd planned to make today, but girl, it's been a crazy week, and I just thought, why not come on and tell you guys about it, because that's what I love to do. And if you love videos like that, Molly rambles, story times, all that kind of stuff, then definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button and most importantly the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video every Tuesday and Friday at 12:30 PST. You can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the things. All my links are in the description box down below, as well as my Patreon, my private fan club, patreon.com/MollyBurke. And while we're at it, maybe just give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And it's a great way to support my content if you like my content. So this is going to be a story time video. I am obviously not at my home. I am currently staying at a friend's lake house. She is not here, and it's just my mom, Gallop, and I that are here. For some context, her home is very big. It's very beautiful, and it is not at all the type of environment that we're used to living in. We live in a city, in a busy area, in a condo building, and she lives on a lakefront in kind of like a woodsy area on a very large property with a very big home. So just like totally different than the environment we're used to being in. Now, originally we were going to be going home on Saturday, which was yesterday. I'm filming this on a Sunday, but our plans had to change due to unforeseen circumstances, and we now aren't going home until Wednesday. Keep that in mind. As much as we love it here and as beautiful as it is, we were already here for a week. We left Sunday and we were planning to leave Saturday, so it was a full week pretty much. So we were like ready to go home. It's frankly been a very stressful week. A lot of things keep going wrong. This is Gallup's last work trip with me, which is pretty emotional. Yeah, it's like we just like had one of those weeks where it was a lot of try and fail. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I think we all have those weeks. You just like try to do something and fail and try again and fail, and you keep picking yourself back up. But by yesterday, I had just kind of like hit a wall, and I'm PMSing too, and like it was just like I was feeling, you could probably hear there's like boats on the water right now. They're like jet skis, it sounds like, almost, I don't know, but we're literally like lakefront. But yeah, I had just like hit a wall. We tried to do something again, completely failed again, and I was just like, we're not even supposed to be here today. Like, we're supposed to be on our way home. I just was like, I'm not even trying today. I'm just gonna take the rest of the day off and breathe through it and like try to relax, watch a buttload of TikTok, and you know, have a nice dinner, a nice cocktail, and enjoy my Saturday night. Make the most of it now that I'm here. That's what we did. But all that to say, like, our spirits were already kind of low. And we've had a very challenging week. And we weren't supposed to be here. This was the first night we weren't supposed to be here. Now, if you know me, you know I love crime. I love fictional crime, but more than that, I love true crime. Podcasts, documentaries, books, what have you. And I purposefully have avoided consuming any true crime or crime-related content, period, while here. Look, there's a lot of people who would feel safer in like a more remote area. I'm not one of those people. I am somebody who feels safer in the midst of a hustling, bustling city. I've talked about this a lot. It's one of the things I talked about in my video announcing that I bought a condo. Like, as one of the reasons I bought a condo and not a home, like freestanding home, is I personally, as like a young petite blind woman, feel less safe in like a freestanding house than I do in a condo building with 24-hour security guards, security cameras, fobs that you have to like fob into every single location in the building. neighbors that are literally like, I open my door and across the hall there's like people, all different people. I can knock on their doors. So I'm just somebody who personally feels safer being in a city, being in a condo building surrounded by lots of other people. And when something goes wrong, there's people close by. And if something collectively goes wrong, there's lots of other people like going through it with me. So I just feel safer in the city. And I have felt honestly like kind of scared being just like my mom, myself, and Gallup here, especially at night. So for the first few nights, my mom and I, the way this house is laid out is there's 2 upstairs bedrooms, and then the master bedroom is on the main floor. And it's a pretty much entirely like glass house. It's stunning. There's lots of woodwork and glass. It's a brand new build, so it's like very modern, very updated, lots of warm woods, cabiny vibes, but high ceilings. So the living room is fully open concept, so the ceiling height goes 2 floors. The whole back of the house is glass, so that no matter what room you're in, living room, kitchen, master bedroom, you look out onto the lake. And there's tons of doors. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 doors to get into the back of the house. And then there's like the garage entrance and the front door at the front of the house. So there's lots of ways to get into the house. There's lots of glass for people like to see into the house, but obviously you're in kind of like more middle of nowhere. Like there isn't people that are going to be seeing into your house, so it's fine to have tons of glass. But that said, like that's kind of what kind of like weirded me out at night, was the idea that there's just like so many doors and so many windows to look in, and all the doors are glass doors. So my mom and I were both sleeping in the 2 upstairs bedrooms. It was just overwhelmingly hot. They don't have air conditioning at this property, and usually you wouldn't really need it where it's located, but it was very sweltering the last like week, particularly the last few nights. And so over the last few nights, my mom and I both like couldn't sleep upstairs. It was just too overwhelmingly hot. Now the room my mom had been staying in got a little more airflow than the room I was staying in. The room I was staying in was the most like stuffy because it was difficult to open the windows, whereas my mom's room where it was located got much more airflow. So what we were doing is I was sleeping in the master bedroom with Gallup, and my mom was sleeping in the living room on the couch, and she would just kind of stay there for the first few hours of the night while she was trying to fall asleep and cool down. And then once she was kind of like more sleepy, she would go upstairs, and by that point in the night, like the airflow would have cooled down with just the natural cooling of the evening air, and she'd sleep upstairs. So I was kind of like, for the beginning of the night, my mom would be downstairs, but through most of the night, I was sleeping downstairs on the main floor alone. Last night, again, like I was just really tired. I was just feeling really down, PMSing. I had like accidentally seen a really mean comment on social media, it made me cry, which I usually don't get that emotional about mean comments. I'm pretty used to it. But I was just had such a bad week, and I was really like scrolling to look for something to make me smile. So then seeing something so mean was just like, I was like, this is truly the last thing I needed this week. And it was one of those weeks where like I said, like I just kept trying and not giving up until I couldn't keep trying anymore, and just kind of gave up and surrendered, and was like, tomorrow I will pick myself back up and I will have a better day. But today I'm just surrendering and I'm giving in. And you know, I always say like, I'm not somebody who gives up. If I was somebody who gave up, I would have given up at 14, but I'm 27. I've fought through a hell of a lot, and yeah, I just surrendered, and I was like upset last night. And I went to bed and I crashed. I was exhausted. I'm often, before my period comes, I'm either like super tired and then my period comes and I can't sleep, or I cannot sleep days leading up to my period and my period comes and I crash. It's like just depends on what my hormones are up to that month. But this month, like I've been really tired every night leading up to my period coming. And so I completely crashed. I have a long, lengthy routine before bed. So often, like, I'll go to bed and then I don't actually end up falling asleep for about half an hour because I have my affirmation routine, my prayer routine, and all of that takes me like 20 minutes or so. And then it takes me from there like 10 minutes to unwind and fall asleep. So I put my audiobook on, text my boyfriend goodnight, close the bedroom door, turn off all the lights. Gallup is sleeping on the floor beside me on the like cool hardwood floor. I'm in the bed, fan blasting on me because it's so hot. And we always made sure to like lock all the doors. Every night I'm like making sure with my mom, because I'm just, again, I've been like kind of paranoid. I've been kind of just like a little creeped out. And so I've been making sure to ask my mom, like, all the doors are locked, right? Like, and we make sure every night that all the doors are locked. I'm literally getting scared, like, thinking of it. It was so creepy. Okay, so I, like, put my night guard in, do the whole thing, my prayer routine. And by this point, it's probably, I want to say I probably fell asleep around midnight. I wake up at probably, like, 1:25, and I'm just hot. And I'm, like, I roll over, and I assume, because I was out cold. So I assumed, well, I was actually out hot, but you get what I'm saying. So I assume that it's probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. That's how like out I was. And I think you were the same.
Yeah, I was totally in a deep sleep.
My mom was upstairs at this point. She was in her upstairs bed. She was also fully out cold. Now I wake up around 1:25. And I roll over and I'm trying to get comfortable again. And I'm kind of hot and I'm readjusting, but I'm still like in that space where I wasn't fully awake. I was just kind of aware. I wasn't in that fully deep sleep that I had just previously been in, but I wasn't totally awake where I was fully conscious of what's happening. So I'm kind of like in this in between, trying to get comfortable, and I'm about to like fall back into that deep sleep when blaring alarms, like piercing alarms, start going off through the entire house. My heart immediately is racing. I am like having so many thoughts rushing through my mind. Like, this is literally all of my fears coming to reality. It is now at this point 1:30 a.m. I'm in a pitch black room. Now for me, light is very comforting because light is all I can see. So when I'm at home, I usually sleep with some kind of a nightlight on, and I probably always will. When I'm in other people's homes, they don't usually have nightlights. Like, usually I use like a salt lamp or something really kind of dull light, but something. So when I'm at home and I'm having that experience where I wake up and I'm feeling like maybe scared, what I will do is I will look towards my light. And like that, seeing something for me is comforting, because usually as a person who can see, you would open your eyes and you would look around, and even though you can't see clearly in the dark, you can still see shapes or outlines, or I don't know, I've never been able to see in the dark, so whatever you guys can see. It's not what you see during the day, but you can still see something. Even if it takes your eyes a minute to adjust, you can still look and see, you know? And I'm sure that's comforting for you. I don't have that, so for me, I look at light. Well, that night I was just so exhausted that the only light I had on was in the bathroom, in the toilet. But the way the bed is facing, there's a wall, so you can't see the master bathroom. So I'm like looking around and I see no light at all, so I have no comfort. Like, I don't have anything to make me feel calmed down. And it is just blaring, woo, 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 woo. And my mom is all the way upstairs and across the other side of the house. Like I said, it's a very big house. And Gallup like bolted. He stands up and he runs to my side, and I put my hand down on him. And that was like the only bit of comfort I have, like, bless him. And I could feel his ears were like fully perky, like standing really high on his head. And that's not something he does very often. And they're like really, really perky. And he is standing at full attention by my side. And I think, okay, I might have to run out of the house. Like, this might be a fire. I might have to leave. So my slippers are on the ground beside me. I'm obviously just in my pajamas. Thankfully, I'm not somebody who sleeps naked. Never have been. So, thankfully, in this situation, that's something people who sleep naked should seriously consider. What happens if, like, there's an emergency in the night? Just saying. So I throw my slippers on at my feet, and I, to be honest, did not want to open the bedroom door, because I was like, what if there's an intruder? I'm on the ground floor alone, and I can't see anything, and this isn't my house. So even though I've stayed here multiple times in the past, even though I've been staying here for a week at this point, I'm still walking into a lot of things, you know? And so between the fact that I'm still walking into a lot of things and don't fully have my way around properly, because it is such a big property, and because I'm scared, like, what if there's an intruder and my mom is upstairs, I just didn't want to open the door. So Gallup and I, like, run over to the door, but we're kind of just standing there. And then finally, this is all happening quickly, but also like feeling very slow. You know what I mean? Like when you're in an emergency, it feels very slow. And in my mind, I'm just like, this week where everything goes wrong, and the night we're supposed to go home, this happens. My mom like bursts through the door and she's like, Molly. And I quickly turn on my lights, and she starts turning on the lights in the living room and the kitchen, and we're like both panicked. We don't know what to do. And so Gallup kind of starts like looking around the house, and we like go to the kitchen and we're like, is there an intruder? Like, is there smoke? What's happening? There's no sign of fire anywhere, and there's no sign of an intruder, but like this is a big house. We don't know. I'm freaking out, and for me, this is one of those moments. There's moments in life when I feel how blind I am, and I feel the effect of that disability. I talked about that in like this video where I was caught in a stampede. Talked about it many years ago. It was one of those moments of intense vulnerability, being in an emergency situation where it could have been life or death, and I felt entirely stuck and relied on other people heavily. And this is that same situation. Like, I could not see if there was an intruder around. I couldn't scan visually to feel comfort in that moment. And I also again knew like I can't get out very quickly or as quickly and safely as an able-bodied person could, because this isn't my house. I don't know, like I'm still walking into things and bumping around a lot and kind of walking slower than I usually do. And so it was just like this intense moment of feeling like very scared. And so I dragged my mom like back into the master bedroom. I like ripped my night guard out, and we're like, what do we do? And then we're like, no, let's not stay. My mom's like, okay, like I have to grab my phone, because we were, I don't know why, but we were like gonna call the owner of the house. I don't know why our first instinct wasn't 911, but my mom wanted to call the owner of the house. I had my phone, but I did not have the owner of the house's phone number programmed into my phone. So we now have to leave the bedroom. We open the door, we run up the stairs. We're trying to call Gallup, but he's staying downstairs. Also, like, I didn't really want to talk very loud because I didn't want to draw attention to us in case there was an intruder. Even though it's a very open concept house, I don't know, like your mind just isn't working quite right in these moments. So we run upstairs to the bedroom she was staying in where her phone is. We kind of close the door behind us. She tries to call the homeowner to see like, what kind of alarm system do you have? What could this be? And so the homeowner doesn't answer, and she's like, should we call dad? Which is obviously my dad. And I was like, no, we should call 911. Like, what are they gonna do at this point? We need to call 911, because if this is, like, the alarm is going off for an emergency reason. Like, the alarms don't just go off. Something triggered this. We need to just call 911. You know, to be honest, it's one of those situations where it's like, because there was no sign of an emergency, right? Like, we're not seeing or smelling smoke. There's no sign of fires. There wasn't any signs that we could see of an intruder. We were like, you don't want to waste resources, you know? But my mom is like physically shaking. My heart is pounding. I'm feeling nauseous. I have a dry mouth. Like we're both in utter panic mode. And so I just made the decision. I was like, we just need to call 911, because this is what 911 is for, is emergencies. And like, we don't know why this is happening. This shouldn't be happening. So we need to call 911. So I like say to my phone, call 911. And it was really interesting because I don't make a habit of calling 911. I've never done that before, like with voice. So I tell it call 911, and then it gave me like a countdown, and it's almost as if it's like, if in case that happened accidentally, you know, like it gives you 3, 2, 1 countdown on your phone to like exit out. But obviously I wanted to call, so I like waited, and some guy immediately picked up. He was very calm. He was very kind. I've heard a lot of 911 calls just because I'm really into true crime, and I've also watched a lot of like YouTube channels where they show like real 911 calls, and sometimes dispatchers are like very kind, and sometimes, you know, they aren't, because they're dealing with a lot. Now this is a more rural area. It's not like a metropolitan big city where they're getting tons of calls. And so I was just like, I was really scared, right? Because I didn't know what I was really calling for. Just an alarm is going off and I'm scared. And so I didn't want them to like, I was scared that they were going to be mean, you know, like be like, why are you calling? That's not a reason to call. So I was a little nervous. But I know like dispatchers are under intense pressure. I have the utmost empathy for all first responders. If you work in that industry, my heart goes out to you, and I thank you, because that is not an easy job. It is incredibly difficult. They are under intense amounts of pressure and stress. They hear absolutely terrible things all day, every day. I know a lot of dispatchers and first responders face things like PTSD, and so my heart absolutely goes out to you. And I'm not trying to pass any judgments. I was like scared, feeling like maybe I'm not supposed to call and maybe they'll be mad, but I just truly was in such a panic and I did not know what else to do. And so I call and he answers and he was very kind, very calm, and I just told him, I don't know why I'm calling, but my mom and I are staying in a family friend's home. She is not here. We are alone. And we were awoken in the middle of the night by an alarm going off very loudly through the entire house. Now, at this point, the alarm had stopped. It was going for probably about 5 to 8 minutes straight. And at this point, like I said, we'd gone through all of those other things that we had done to get to this point of finally calling 911. And the alarm had stopped briefly. So I'm on the phone, I'm saying these things, and I said, I don't know what alarm systems they have. Like, I don't know if this is intruder. There is no sign of fire, but there is an alarm going off. And he said, are you armed? And I said, no, I'm not. I'm blind. I can't see. And we are both very small. We're both under 5 feet tall. We're really petite and we're alone and we're very scared. And he said, I'm going to send somebody out right away. I got the address from my mom, relayed the address. He confirmed my phone number. And I don't know, like, I can't remember how it came up, but I just said to him, oh, the alarm started again for a second time. And I said to him, like, I don't know what alarm systems they have. Like, what does an alarm sound like if it's like an intruder, like a security alert versus a fire alarm? And he said, well, is it like a consistent beep? Is it a high-pitched squeal? Like, he was kind of going through, and I just kind of like tried to demonstrate for him because I wasn't sure if he could hear the alarm. And he was like, okay, that sounds like a fire alarm. I'm gonna transfer you. I'm like, the police are already on their way, but I'm gonna transfer. And I asked him, how long are they gonna be? And he said, well, it's on the other side of the lake, so it's gonna take 10 to 15 minutes. And that was like one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is like being in a more remote area versus a city. Like, you just don't have quick access or close access the way you do where I would live. And so I was just really scared. And he transfers me to the fire department, and he asks me a couple questions. He asks me to give him the sound of the alarm because at this point the alarm had stopped for a second time. I demonstrate the sound of the alarm, and he said, yeah, that does. And I said, it sounds like the type of alarm that if you're cooking in your kitchen and it gets a bit smoky, it would go off. And he said, yeah, a smoke detector. He said, there's no signs of fire. And I said, there's 0 signs of fire. He said, was anybody like showering and creating a lot of like steam? And I said, there's 2 of us in the house and we were both dead asleep. And my mom had checked, none of the appliances in the kitchen were on. We hadn't even cooked. We had actually like we'd ordered food. We hadn't cooked at home. So we are answering the questions, and he said, I'm worried it could be carbon monoxide. You're gonna need to leave the house and get into fresh air. And I said, honestly, I'm blind. We don't live here. We don't know this neighborhood. We don't have a car we can go sit in the driveway, because both the cars were in the garage, which is attached to the house, which is, if there's carbon monoxide, it's in the garage too. So that wouldn't be a safe space either. And so, and they aren't our cars. We haven't been using them. So like, it would take a while to find the keys. I just didn't feel, so I was like, I don't feel safe leaving the house, because what if the alarm is going off because it's a burglar attempt or an intruder attempt? Like, I feel too vulnerable to go outside this house. These aren't our neighbors. And like, I felt too scared and I was panicked. And I said, is there anything I can do? And he said, if you can get near an open window source. And I said, we have fans. And he said, don't stand in front of the fans because they're going to be blowing the air that's already in the house circulating. And if it is carbon monoxide, it's going to be blowing even more carbon monoxide into your faces. So don't go near a fan. Try to go near an open window source for fresh air. And I said, what are the symptoms? Like, what should I be looking for? And he said, you're going to feel a headache and you're going to feel nauseous. But if you feel a headache or nausea, it's already getting too late. Like, you do not want to wait until you feel symptoms. So now I'm panicked, and I was feeling nauseous, but simply because I was in like utter panic, like fight or flight. I had so much adrenaline in me. Like I said, I had a headache, I was feeling nauseous, and I had a dry mouth. But I knew, and my mom was feeling like really, really, really shaky. But I knew that I probably wasn't feeling those things from carbon monoxide. Like I thought, I feel like I'm feeling these from panic. So we're like, okay, let's just sit in the living room, which is the biggest open air room of the house. We turned off the fan that was in there, and we sat there and just kind of like tried to breathe and calm down. Again, I'm not saying we made the smartest choices. I'm just telling you what we did, and I think it's really hard to judge somebody when they're in a panic, fight, or flight situation because you don't know what you would do. It's really easy to say you should call the cops right away if an alarm goes off. You should have left the house if they tell you that's what to do. It's very easy to make judgments about what somebody should do, but it's very difficult unless you're in the position or in their shoes, because everybody faces experiences from their own life experience, right? You go into a new experience with all of the past experiences you've had. And again, like, for me being blind, it adds another layer of feeling extremely vulnerable and scared because I just can't see to verify I'm safe. And so we sit there, and I end up getting a call from the cops. We're jarred because it's like dead quiet, right? We're trying to be super quiet because, again, we're feeling like if there's an intruder in here, like, we don't want to be too loud. So we're like kind of whispering and being really quiet, and then my phone rings and I answer it. He's like, I'm a police officer, is this the right house? And I was like, are you outside? And he's like, no, I'm on my way, I'm just wanting to make sure I'm calling the right person. And I said, yes. He asked a few more questions. I answered, and then a couple minutes later, we can start to hear, they didn't come with sirens, thankfully. We didn't want them to, because we didn't want to like cause a huge scene in the neighborhood it's now 2 a.m, by the time they arrived. And so we can hear a truck driving up though, and my mom looks out the front window and it is a fire truck. And so we go to the door, we unlock it. I made sure to have my cane in hand just so they understood visibly. They had a signal that like represented I can't see, and they kind of came into the house. There was 3 of them. Oh my god, they were so big. They were so big. I was like, again, my mom and I are both under 5 feet tall, and their presence and where their voices were coming from, they just like filled the whole front lobby, just the 3 of them. And they like all start kind of running around to all areas of the house trying to find an alarm system. Now this house is a luxury home. It's very beautiful, it's very updated, it's very modern, and it has all the bells and whistles. So they're like, okay, this is really fancy, like we haven't seen these kinds of systems. So they're like trying to look all over the house. They're literally going in every single room, the garage, everywhere, trying to figure this out. Within that time period, the alarm had stopped and started again. So it had at this point gone off 3 times. The first time was the lengthiest, but it had stopped and started 3 times total. While they were here, it was not going off. It had stopped a few minutes prior. While they're all kind of looking around the house, the cops show up. They are also, the fire department is using their carbon monoxide detectors through the whole house. They're wanding all of the appliances. They were so cute. They're like, oh, what a nice coffee machine. Oh, this is really nice. Like they're like complimenting the house. And it was like it was making us feel like much more calm. Like just having them there brought our anxiety levels down like 80%, but them just being in a really calm state, like making jokes, complimenting the house, it just like made me feel so much better. And then 2 police officers showed up. One's chatting to us in the front doorway, one's kind of scanning the house, and essentially they look everywhere they can. They cannot find any type of alarm system. There's no carbon monoxide traces. And when the police showed up, they were like, carbon monoxide? Like they just looked at the police officers like they were all fully expecting this to be a carbon monoxide situation. And they're like, no, like this is pretty high tech gear and it's not detecting anything. And so after about 12 minutes in the house, the 5 of them decide that they're like, we're really sorry, ladies, there's nothing we can do. Like if it goes off again, take a recording and call us. But there's no signs of an attempted break-in, thank God, because truly that was my biggest fear, was an attempted break-in. And they couldn't find the system that would tell them like which alarm that was triggered. The thing was, the alarms were going off in every room. So it wasn't like, oh, the alarm in the bedroom went off. No, the alarm in every part of the house was going off. And so they left, And my mom and I were just very shaken up, and we just felt really on edge still, and we were trying to calm down. So we just stayed up, we scrolled through TikToks, kind of just tried to watch some funny stuff, make ourselves feel better, and we ended up staying up till 4 a.m. before we kind of like felt good enough to sleep. And we both went into the master bedroom, and we both slept with Gallup all together in the master bedroom. And honestly, I slept like very light. I was kind of on edge for any sound I might hear. Like, I was just paranoid, you know? So I like woke up at 8, woke up at 9, was super groggy and tired, and I ended up having like a nightmare. Like, I think my phone buzzed, like somebody texted me, and it was on vibrate, and it buzzed beside my head, and it literally in my dream like was an alarm. Alarm went off, and I like, it was wide awake, like looking for the alarm, and it was none. Obviously, I was just kind of like having kind of bad dreams from what had happened. And yeah, we just got up this morning. We were like, of course, what a way to end the week. God is testing us, putting us through it, but we are not going to let it bring us down. We're going to make the most of today. And we ended up waking up to a text from our friend, and she's like, looks like you had an adventure last night. And so in my mind, I was thinking, I mean, she obviously saw a missed call from us, but she didn't know why that was, right? And so we're thinking, okay, like maybe she has an alarm system with an app, so she could see on her phone that the alarm went off. So she ends up giving us a call, and we tell her the whole situation, and she said that, you know, they have security cameras, which we know. They have security cameras, and every day they go through the security cameras and check it out to make sure everything in their home is safe. And they saw the police officers come at, 2 a.m. And so we tell her the whole situation, and she was like, well, I don't have they have security cameras, but they don't have a security system, like an alarm. So she's like, it was definitely a fire alarm that went off, which honestly, like, plot thickened, because in my mind I was like, okay, chalk it up to somebody tried to get into a door, the alarm went off, scared them off, and they left, since there was no carbon monoxide and no fire. And we were both asleep, like there was nothing that could have tripped the alarm. And so it like plot thickened. We were just like, okay, so it was definitely the fire alarm. But the only other thought we had is like, okay, maybe the batteries are running out. But no, because usually like when batteries run low, it goes beep 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 beep. Like it's just like a little beeping coming from the actual alarm system. Whereas this was every room in the house full blaring alarms. And she was like, yeah, that's not how it sounds when the batteries are dying. So I don't know if it was paranormal, God testing us. I don't know what the heck that was, what triggered it, why it happened. The firefighters don't even know. But that was our night last night, and I would just, like to say we did make the most of today. We've gotten a ton of work done. We've just like put a good face on, made the most of today. It's been sunny, it's been beautiful. And yeah, we've just tried to like enjoy ourselves. It's been a rough week, trying to be kind to ourselves. But yeah, that was our crazy adventure last night at the end of a very long week. And it's just so funny because if we had just been able to go home yesterday like our original plan was, we wouldn't have been here. The alarm would have gone off to an empty house and all would have been well. But that wasn't our plan. That wasn't God's plan for us this week. But yeah, that's my little story time, a little adventure. Comment and let me know what you think tripped the alarm. Like, do you have any ideas of what that could have been? Also, comment and let me know if you've ever had a crazy situation like this happen, a scary alarm trip. What happened? I want to know your stories in the comment section below. Give this a thumbs up if you found it entertaining. And don't forget to click up here to meet the Dwell Living team for my first condo renovation consultation. Sheesh, tongue twister. Or click over here to watch me share my tips and tricks on how I swim as a blind girl. And I will see you in the next video, guys. Sending you love and good vibes for the week ahead. Or I guess it's the weekend for you guys. Have a good weekend! Oh, and to top it off, Gallup somehow rolled in poop today. So, he stinks, and we're gonna have to find a way to give him an impromptu doggy bath. Thanks, Gallup.